Welcome, everyone, to the DeVory Darkins Show, November 19th, Wednesday. And the drama continues. Okay. I told you guys we were going to try our best, but unfortunately, more information continues to come out regarding this whole Epstein debacle on both sides, including exposing the insane stunt that the Republicans pulled yesterday by refusing to censure Stacy Plaskett for obviously and you're going to hear it from herself, honest communications with Jeffrey Epstein during a live congressional hearing. Give me a break. Also, we'll show you what people plan to do about it as a reaction. So some Republicans are actually calling to have Cory Mills censured because he was a part of the backroom deal that prevented Plaskett from being held accountable. Guys, I just want to say this. It's corruption day. That's what this show is all about. So you're probably going to get a little upset here. It might sound a little doom and gloom, but keep your faith, obviously. And this is just another reminder that if you serve or you live, in Cory Mills' district, if you live in Stacy Plaskett's district or any of these people that were involved, you might think twice about who you're going to vote for next, because I think this stinks all the way to high heaven, as the term is pronounced. Okay. If you guys are new here, common sense commentary for these uncommon times. Again, I believe in showing you guys the full picture of what's happening, and I think this show is a prime example of what I like to do. Okay, it's easy to live on the fringes and repeat what everybody else is saying, but I guarantee you what we're going to go through right now, they are not going to talk about this stuff. I guarantee it. You're not going to hear Fox News bring this up. You're probably not even going to hear MS Now, I guess is the name of it. Let's just continue with MSDNC. They're not going to bring it up either. It's fascinating that these people get in front of a camera talking about they're fighting for the American people. But when it comes down to it, when the rubber meets the road, okay, they're nowhere to be found. They do the polar opposite. And it happens most of the time. All right. So what do I mean by all of this? Well, let's just start with this announcement. And this is Fox News talking about how this censure vote against Stacy Plaskett had failed. And I want you to pay attention to Jamie Raskin's response, including James Comer.
Stacy Plaskett narrowly avoiding being censured by her House colleagues. This after revelations she texted with Jeffrey Epstein during a 2019 hearing where Michael Cohen was testifying. Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin coming to her defense.
They want to arraign her on some charges based on a newspaper article that she did something lawful. However ill-advised it may have been, she took a phone call from one of her constituents. They want to give them another headline, which is that they've arraigned a Democratic member for taking a phone call from her constituent, Jeffrey Epstein, in the middle of a hearing. And of course, I don't think there's any rule here against taking phone calls in a hearing.
House Oversight Committee Chair James Comer joining us now. Congressman, your reaction to all this?
Well, I've said many times Jamie Raskin's full of crap. He's the definition of congressional hypocrisy. Can you imagine if that were Donald Trump or me or some Republican that Raskin doesn't like that was texting with Jeffrey Epstein, a convicted sex offender who the Democrats have now become obsessed over because they hope and pray that he has something to do with Donald Trump. If we were texting with him during a committee hearing, I mean, it's preposterous. Remember, Jamie Raskin appointed Stacy Plaskett to be on the impeachment, to be an impeachment manager of Donald Trump.
Okay. So what did he not tell you? He didn't tell you what led to why that vote came out to be what it was. Let me just show you guys this really quickly here. You guys can see this for yourself. Who are the members who actually failed to do the right thing, right? That is the question. Well, here it is. So Republican Don Bacon out of Nebraska. That's, I mean, come on. David Joyce out of Ohio, and Lance Gooden out of Texas. And then you had three that voted present, so meaning they're not going to say yes or no, so their vote doesn't even count. Guys, you know, I can't even give you the words on how frustrating this is, because I put this up on my account literally 30 minutes ago, I believe. The moral of the story is this. America wants to focus on affordability. What do Democrats want to focus on? Epstein. America wants to focus on affordability. What do Republicans want to focus on? Epstein. America, hey, you guys want to focus on Epstein? Then hold Stacy Plaskett accountable. Well, what do they say? We're going to handle it internally. And the way they're going to handle it internally is by refusing to censure Cory Mills. We're going to get to him shortly, by the way. And what do Republicans say in response, and why they haven't actually held him accountable? Because they wanted to handle it internally. Okay. So in the end, Congress is corrupt and incompetent. And what is Congress going to say in front of the camera today? We're fighting for the American people. No, you're fighting for yourselves. That's what you're doing. That is exactly what you're doing. And this is the part of politics that makes it so disgusting, in my opinion. Truly disturbing stuff. Now, Stacy Plaskett did make an appearance on CNN to explain herself. We'll get to that here, so stick around to see it for yourself. But I want you to pay attention to Anna Paulina Luna, who, after that vote failed, this is what she said.
For what purpose does the gentlelady from Florida seek recognition?
I have a parliamentary inquiry.
The gentlelady from Florida will state her inquiry.
I was wondering if the Speaker of the House of Representatives can explain why leadership on both sides, both Democrat and Republican, are cutting back-end deals to cover up public corruption in the House of Representatives from both Republican and Democrat members of Congress.
The gentlelady has not stated a proper parliamentary inquiry.
Thank you very much, but I think the American people know what happened tonight.
Yeah, so they didn't even want to entertain her inquiry there. So, okay, if you guys are not understanding what happened, it's very clear, okay? Stacy Plaskett, we know, was in communication with Jeffrey Epstein. And I can guarantee you in the next coming, 30 days, we're going to find out how many more people had direct communications with him. She was texting with him during a live congressional hearing when she was questioning Michael Cohen, and she started asking questions at the direction of Epstein. So he was telling her what to do. Okay, so that all gets uncovered when they release these so-called bombshell emails, and then people call for her to be disciplined properly, which is to remove her from whatever committee that she is a part of. Okay, so then they go for a vote, and instead of actually doing that and following through, which is what constituents want, Republicans sided with Democrats, okay, because they don't want Cory Mills, who's Republican, to be held accountable. And he's got some interesting things that we'll get to, and as a veteran, I'm really disturbed. All right, hopefully that all makes sense. Now, let's go to Hakeem Jeffries, because here's his response.
Resolution that was introduced targeting Stacy Plaskett was defeated. And it was defeated for several reasons, including the fact that it was a dramatic overreach related to throwing her off her committees. Democrats, if you're going to ask a question, you got to let me answer. Democrats and Republicans defeated the censure. Stacy Plaskett has made clear her position as it relates to Jeffrey Epstein repeatedly, and her words speak for itself. She said,
see, this is another reminder why it's not really left versus right. It's Congress versus the American people. Think about that for a second. Let's just go down the list. What would be on the list of the 5 biggest things that are a threat to the United States of America? I would put at least, and you guys can order this however you want and put it in the chat. I'll give you 5 of them, and you guys put it in order, and then I'll read it back. 1 is definitely the progressive movement, okay? So progressives. 2 are DEI. 3 is China. 4, I would say Congress. And 5, I would say Citizens United. Because everything else really stems from those 5 things, if you think about it. If you go to the root cause of the problem with Congress is that they take money in order to stay in Congress. Not from people like you and me, because we're chump change. Special interest groups, we've gone through this, okay? Donors, corporations, all of that. You know. Like, I don't agree with Elon Musk or anybody of that nature donating $250 million. I don't think that should be allowed at all on both sides of the aisle. It just should be removed from politics entirely. Because It's very simple. When you serve in the military, they have this word called complacency, which is why if you're Title 10 active duty, they move you around. They don't want you in the same duty location for a decade, okay? They want you moving around, staying fresh, okay? New environment, new leadership, right? It keeps you on your toes. But when you're in the same position for years on end, and some of these people have been serving in Congress longer than I've been alive, of course they're complacent. So they're walking conflicts of interest. And the only way to fix it is to get the money out of politics. And so all this no kings protest bullshit, all of this partisan overreaction and emotional takes that you see on social media from media personalities to podcasters to pundits, that's all a bunch of bullshit. If people really want to change this country, we need to get money out of politics. People want to debate over the symptoms. They're not even talking about the root cause. They're wasting people's time. And they benefit from the outrage. They want you to be outraged. They want you to hate the other party, right? They want us divided as the people. And while we are divided and fighting amongst each other, we're not focused on Congress. So we have to wake up, all right? Now let's go to Plaskett here and hear what she had to say, because I think this is just fascinating. Her response is, it's a complete joke.
And there's a lot of drama still unfolding. The Epstein saga hasn't been without controversy for Democrats as well. The House last night narrowly rejected a Republican effort to censure our next guest, Democratic Delegate Stacy Plaskett, over a text she exchanged with Epstein during a 2019 congressional hearing with President Trump's former attorney, Michael Cohen. 3 Republicans joined all Democrats to defeat the effort to remove her from the House Intelligence Committee, with another 3 voting present. Congressman Stacy Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands is joining us right now. You're a delegate, a non-voting delegate right now. Tell us a little bit about your reaction to all these late developments.
Well, first I want to thank the Democrats, the Democratic caucus, not only for voting with me, but for speaking on my behalf during the general debate, as well as those members in the Republican Party who voted with the Democrats and those who tacitly voted with us by either voting present or not voting at all during the censure. And I'm hopeful that we can now get back to the work that we do in Congress rather than the political theater that has been happening. The files have been released, which I have been in favor of all along. And let's let the victims get their justice and let us get to the work of Congress. We've been on over a 70-day paid time off. Democrats have been doing town halls, coming back to Congress. Republicans have been nowhere in sight. And the people of this country are in need of our support and of the work that needs to be done.
We know that Epstein had property in the Virgin Islands, right?
Yes.
What was your relationship with Epstein?
So Jeffrey Epstein was a constituent. He was a resident of the Virgin Islands, lived there, I guess, more than half of the year because he was registered there. I had received donations from him after the last investigation came out, which was after this texting. I gave any donations that I had previously received from him to women's organizations and did not have any contact with him. But like many constituents, individuals get your phone number, they text you about issues, they speak with you.
Okay. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, okay? But I'm not an idiot, okay? She was texting this guy after he was convicted. Did you hear what she said? Oh, no, I actually, I wasn't talking to him, before the latest investigation. What are you talking about? This is 2019. What? I mean, what? Anyways, so she goes on to claim the excuse that he is just a normal constituent. Okay, he's not any normal constituent, okay? We know how much money he was worth at that time and his connections. Let's be honest. But see, these are the type of games they like to play with the American people, thinking people aren't going to really think about what they're saying. They're just going to hear it and be like, okay, cool. But if you actually hear the words that she's using, she's already prepared for this interview. She knew exactly what she was going to say. At least she admitted to taking the money, which I don't think she has a choice because it's all public information. You guys could go look it up yourself on opensecrets.org or the fec.gov website. You could see the donations from Jeffrey Epstein to campaigns. It's all out there. I guess the question is, do you want to spend the energy looking it up for yourself? See, this is what I'm saying. We got to get back to encouraging people to do it themselves at times. You know, because there's people who are going to hear that and think, oh, she didn't do anything wrong. Okay. She didn't do anything. Oh, but I guess the president, he's doing something wrong, right? Because that's what Democrats want people to believe, that, hey, we got to figure out what was the relationship between the president and Jeffrey Epstein. That's more important, even though we don't even have text messages between them at this point in time that are public. We have nothing like that. We have emails of them talking about each other in a sense, right? We do have that, but we don't even have direct communications. We have photos that are old, no doubt about that. We have victims who claim the president hasn't done anything wrong. But when we finally have actual communications between Jeffrey Epstein and a Democrat, they want to act like it's nothing new, and it's totally fine. It's normal business. Okay. Sure it is. Sure it is. Let me go to this post, because I just, it continues to baffle me how far we are going with all of this. Okay. Actually, let me hold off, and I want to hear this part from her first, and then I'll circle back on that. Watch this.
And there's a lot of drama still unfolding. The Epstein saga hasn't been...
But on that day that we're talking about, you initiated the text exchange at 7:55 in the morning. So why were you even texting with Epstein at the time? He was a known sex offender then.
Sure. I explained to people, I've been a prosecutor for many years. And there are a lot of people who have information that are not your friends, that you use to get information to get at the truth. This was 7 years ago, and people need to understand this was a huge hearing that was taking place with Michael Cohen finally coming forward to talk about monies that he had with the hush money, potential hush money that had been paid to Stormy Daniels to keep her quiet about the allegations against Trump. We were entering a hearing. Lots of people were texting me. Lots of people were giving me information. And I find it really interesting and almost rich that the Washington Post took 30 seconds, one set of question line that I did, and say that Epstein was directing me as to what to question Michael Cohen. I have 5 minutes of questioning. I had a lot of questions, 20 years of experience that I had at the time, along with other information I was getting from many sources about issues that should have been raised. And I also want to say that the issues that I raised in that hearing related to individuals who were closest to the president and who could know about money has never been looked into.
Right, and we have the full transcript right here. But, and no doubt you have an impressive resume, right? You're a former federal prosecutor. You were an impeachment manager.
Watch this.
But yes or no, if Epstein had not brought up Rona to you in that text, would you have asked Michael Cohen about her independently?
Probably not. I asked about 3 other individuals as well.
I thought he wasn't directing
Everyone knew, other people knew that this woman.
Yeah, so she's a complete joke, all right? No, he wasn't directing me, but when he told me to ask particular questions, I did. Which one is it exactly? Yeah, this is the state of our politics, people. It really is a sad state of affairs, because I'd rather be talking about affordability, of course, but this is dominating every network at this point. And the fact of the matter is, Jeffrey Epstein probably donated to at least 80% of people who are still serving in Congress today. We're going to see that. It's just going to unfold. Number 2, they already know the names of some of the perpetrators, but they refuse to say them out loud. That's why I'm telling you, this is all a complete joke. And it's sad for the victims, because they're being pretty much used as pawns in all of this for political gain. These people don't care about them like that. If they did, they would have already released the names of perpetrators. They would have made it public. Pam Bondi would have held a press conference and say, we are launching an investigation into these particular people. Here's step 1, here's step 2, here's step 3. This is our goal. She hasn't done any of that whatsoever. Let me tell you what she's done. Or I'm not even going to tell you. I'll show you what she's done. Here is her reaction this morning to all of this.
The new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
What are the next steps, Madam Attorney General, for the DOJ regarding what we assume President Trump will sign into law with the Epstein files? Is this going to be on the Justice Department website? What are you doing here over the next 30 days, as we understand it?
We will continue to follow the law with maximum transparency while protecting victims.
What is that supposed to mean exactly? She's responding with ChatGPT answers. See, that's the interesting thing. If you observe, without getting emotionally involved, if you just observe the behavior, the language, the patterns, the way they answer questions, you'll start to be able to know when they're bullshitting you, right? There's no question. This is the one issue of this administration that they have utterly failed on. Okay? She dropped the ball, and as a result, Democrats own this now. They have the narrative. They have mainstream media's all over this. And the president is having to literally be in a defensive, situation here, because he should have just ripped the damn Band-Aid off and did what he said he was going to do, release the damn files. And that way they would have been in control of the narrative. But now, since they didn't want to do that, we have to continue to talk about this nonsense. That's literally what's happened. And we talked about it last night, that even some of the victims are delivering interesting responses. Like one of them was on Chris Cuomo last night talking about it's not our responsibility to tell people who the perpetrators are. So wait a minute. You believe that there's this massive scandal of powerful people playing and manipulating, molesting, and use whatever word you want with children, trafficking women at a very young age, grooming them, and you're telling me it's not your responsibility to tell people who they are? Every side of this is just suspect. One side, the victims don't want to tell you who the perpetrators are. The other side, you got the president claiming he was going to do it, didn't do it. Then you got Pam Bondi saying the documents are on my desk, and then what documents? And then you got Speaker Johnson every step of the way saying, no, we don't want to, we cannot do this. This is a matter of national security. Bro, where were you at on day one claiming it was national security? Nowhere. Then Democrats, silent for the past 4 years on this. Now, all of a sudden, it's their number one issue. I thought ACA subsidies was your number one issue. I haven't heard one press conference, reaction, analysis on ACA subsidies since the government got back open again. So every side of this is like, okay, I'm going to stop because I'm just getting triggered. Okay, let's just keep going. Here she is saying that she has no regrets when it comes to talking to Epstein.
I believe that Jeffrey Epstein had information, and I was going to get information to get at the truth. Having a friendship with him is not something that I would deem to have. And so I'm just looking forward. I'm moving forward. And I think that that's what we as American people should do, is move forward. If individuals are not involved in illegal activity, extending his criminal enterprise or his financial enterprise or all of those things, I think that we need to look at what people are doing moving forward.
Wait, let me just better understand that. What is that point? Because at the time he was a known sex offender and it had been detailed all the sexual abuse.
There are a lot of people who have done a lot of crimes, and as a prosecutor, you get information from people where you can.
You know, maybe we should also ban lawyers from serving in Congress too. I think that's a great idea as well, because that's who most of them are. They're lawyers, and lawyers are obviously they're trained to not answer questions. We know that, and you know, it's just pure deflection every step of the way. I just go back to thinking about World War II. We were watching last night what led up to it. We also watched what happened during World War I, of course. And the thing about World War II that is surprising, and just stay with me here, is what led to Adolf Hitler's rise and his reign. And, you know, what obviously triggered them into going all out in this war. And what's fascinating is, if you look at it, history says, and whether or not you believe history or not, it just started one brick at a time, right? It started with the Nazi movement itself gaining more power within the government, right? And then they had a majority. And then it started with them making certain laws that clearly gave Adolf Hitler everything that he wanted with no checks or balances. You know, and so why do I say that? Because although our founding fathers clearly created three branches of government, there's no doubt about it. But the single failure of the Supreme Court is that they allow Congress to receive money. In a sense, they are inherently corrupt already. Already they are corrupt. Already they are a conflict of interest. And we already have this problem as an American citizen, right? That we have members of Congress who clearly are not doing things in our best interests. They're doing things that are in the best interest of their donors, their special interest groups, of course. And then at the same time, you have the progressive wing that is continuing to gain more power over the Democrat Party. And before you know it, over the next decade, they will be the party. Moderate Democrats, established Democrats, they will be gone. So while we're all obsessed with Epstein, the Republican Party needs to recognize history will repeat itself. We need to get back to affordability. We need to address the economic reality of Gen Z. Charlie Kirk wrote about this in depth. It's just common sense. It's common sense. I don't understand what is so difficult with just focusing on American citizens first. Matt Walsh had a great post. He said that if he had to make a decision to save his daughter out of a burning building or 1 million people, he's going to save his daughter every single time. If he had to save his family over 3 other families, he's going to save his family. Let's not act naive here. People want to push back on nationalism and all this other stuff. That's ridiculous. We should take care of the United States of America first. If we don't, we will lose her. It's just that simple. It's crazy how far we are getting away from what matters. We're getting away from the main thing. The main thing is you and me. The main thing is, what are we doing for Gen Z, our future leaders? The main thing is the domestic issues. Now, there's no doubt the president has found a large amount of success with his foreign policy. New polls show he has a higher approval rating in foreign policy than any president in the 21st century. George Bush never reached that high. Barack Obama never reached that high. We know Biden never even had a chance. So he's definitely dwarfed them in that category. But the president needs to get back to domestic issues. There's no doubt about it. I assume he will, of course, because he has great instincts. But it's a gamble the way they started the administration. They started with foreign policy, not domestic. And maybe because domestic takes a while. Well, what does this all have to do with the files and everything? Well, it's because the American people don't want to keep tuning into Kim Kardashian drama stuff on Capitol Hill. Why don't we get back to doing the people's business? All right, let's see what you guys have to say about all this. And then we're going to get to the Cory Mills situation, because this is just crazy. Because you know what frustrates me the most? It's when these insurance companies continue to lowball everyday Americans when they have a serious accident. What am I talking about? Their pain, the time that they lost, the things that they're going through. These insurance companies don't care about that. They only care about their bottom line, which is why I want to make you guys aware of Morgan & Morgan. This is America's largest injury law firm, because they know when you're seriously hurt, that injury could be worth millions, and they're not going to settle for these lowball offers. And if you're results driven like me, pay attention to these numbers. They got a verdict out of Philadelphia for $26 million. That is 40 times higher than the insurance company. Out of Florida, they got one for $12 million. And then out of New York, $6.8 million, which is 25 times higher. You guys following what I'm saying here? You see, if you've ever been injured, don't overthink this. Protect your rights today. It only takes you a few minutes to see if you have a case, and you could do it all from your phone. And guess what? It doesn't cost you a thing. There's no upfront fees, any of that, unless they're able to get you results, including a win for your case. So did you know that you could start a claim with America's largest injury law firm in just a click by going to forthepeople.com/DeVory? That is forthepeople.com/DeVory, or click the link in the description below. All right, now here's a very serious question. Do you owe money? All right, I want to show you guys this. I think you guys are going to love this. This is just more nonsense, okay? This literally just came across, and I want to show it to you. Okay, there it is. You guys see that? A majority of Republicans believe that the government is lying to them about Jeffrey Epstein and his clients. What do you guys think of that? 44% approve of how Trump is handling the issue. 55% believe government is hiding information about Epstein's death. 60% believe government is hiding info about Epstein's clients. This is an upside issue for the administration, upside down issue, no question. This is only Republicans, not Democrats. Okay? And to, I guess, support that sentiment and why people feel that way is what happened last night. You had a member of Congress live texting with the man, and you guys can't even hold her accountable because you want to protect your own? And who are they protecting exactly? Cory Mills. That's who they are protecting. That's who they are protecting. So let's go to your guys' chats and see what you have to say so far. I'm going to get into Cory Mills here because it's, again, I have to say something about this because it's he's been accused of doing something that I just have no tolerance for as a veteran. And some of my veterans out there, you already know what I'm talking about. Okay, let's go to your guys' chats here really quickly, and then we'll get to that here. All right, we're on Rumble. Shout out to Rumble. Thank you guys for joining with me today. Let's see here. Dude, they were called the German National Socialist Society. They became Nazis once in power. Yeah, what does Nazi stand for, smart guy? Nazi is the short word for what you just described. I know that. Let's keep going. DeVory won't say it, but the Jews been scheming this crap for 80 years. Screaming or scheming? Which one is it? Let's see here. Plaskett is a baby fondler and Muslim sympathizer. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Jewish Americans wrote our history books, so of course they make Hitler look worse. You know, that's a very good point. Let's talk about that for a second. I want you to remove your emotion. I just want to ask you a simple question. Did Adolf Hitler kill Jews or not? Yes or no? I don't even care if it was just 1 million, not the 6 million. Did he intentionally seek to commit a genocide against Jews? Yes or no? Did Adolf Hitler seek to trigger war with the rest of the world because he was unhappy because he served in World War I with how that ended? And he thought Germany got the short end of the stick because they had to pay reparations to the rest of the world. So did he start this war or not? Yes or no? Did he want this war? Yes or no? You know, it's interesting. Like, two things can be true at the same time. History can be something that is manipulated. It could be exaggerated, but we don't even have to debate over that. Let's just talk about the facts. It is a fact. Germany went to war with the world. That is a fact. It is a fact that Hitler committed a genocide against Jews. That is a fact. It's also a fact that Germany, from a technology standpoint, was ahead of the world. I mean, a lot of the inventions during that time was off the charts. Okay, so let's not get too emotional here, folks. We need America first. Cut off all foreign funding and only send money to foreign countries if they are buying goods and services. I like that. I know. Where is Stan today? I think Stan he had to take a break from yesterday. Maybe his fingers are, you know, his fingers are hurting from yesterday. Oh, I love this right here. Problems get fixed in the same order they were created in the outward level scale. 1 starts with you, 2 your family, 3 local community, 4 country state, 5 national level, 6 everyone place else. Exactly. See, that's why step 1 in anything you're doing with your life has to be about mindset. When you start understanding the power of your mind, you start understanding how this universe operates, you can't help but lean conservative. That doesn't mean you'll be one. But you're more likely to lean right on a lot of issues when you start doing mindset work, because you start to find out that the only person you can control is yourself. And then you start realizing why people do the things that they do. It's because they're controlled. They're programmed. They don't have the right information. A lot of people live with a victim mentality. That's what progressives love. That's what the left loves. That's how they make their money, by making people believe they are victims. Just the default study of the power of your mind and mindset in human performance gets you away from even entertaining socialism or progressive ideals. It's just fascinating. I guess that's why they don't want us, to think for ourselves, because inherently we would never be a progressive, okay, or even go in that direction. And I'm talking about generally speaking, there may be issues that are exceptions to that. Okay, let me go to YouTube and shout out to my crew on YouTube. You guys have been with me since day one. Let's see here. You people think Trump can't walk and chew gum? I'm not saying he can't. I think the people around him can't. That's what I think. Let's see here. I'm for America first, but not America only. Yeah, I guess the question is, let's go back to first principles. What does America first mean to you? If you walk down the street and ask 10 people, you're going to get 10 different answers. If you ask somebody, what does America only mean? And 10 people, you're still going to get 10 different answers. Right? So, America first is I think it's just common sense. Like every decision from a policy standpoint should put Americans first. I think that's basic. Okay? That is basic. America only could be looked at as, hey, right now, over the next 3 years, we should just focus on America only. We shouldn't be focused on any other country. Like, let's clean up our country first. So again, that's my perspective. But other people may have a different perspective. Okay? And the fascinating part, guys, if we go back to history, before World War II, you know what state the United States of America was in? Isolationist, okay? All right? We were isolated, is what I'm trying to say. So after the First World War, which then led into a Great Depression, the president at the time had no concern over what was happening in the rest of the world. And what happened as a result? What happened as a result of not paying attention to the rest of the world? Wars broke out. Right? So I don't believe in isolating this country. I just don't believe we should be investing into regime changes. I don't think we should be investing into other countries because we want them to be a democracy. I think what we should do is, if we're talking about trade, if we're talking about a crisis, for example, Christianity, okay, a genocide is being committed against them, obviously, in Nigeria, that would make sense. I would support some type of, a diplomatic approach, okay, and if that doesn't work, maybe military, maybe, but no boots on ground, okay, because this is a country found on Christian values. That's my opinion, okay, but the point is, outside of stuff like that, I don't understand why else we need to be so involved. So yeah, that's how I see everything. I think there's plenty of stuff that we should be focused on here. I think we should, and we don't need other countries investing into our country either. We don't need other countries' money like that, especially in politics. So I don't care if it's China, Israel, Russia, Ukraine, like they all should get cut off. All of them. And only time we should be doing business is obviously someone seeking to obviously destroy this world, okay? Because there are powers that be that absolutely wants chaos. Trade makes total sense, as I stated, in a crisis. That's the only reason it would only make sense. It would only make sense in those scenarios. Okay, let me tell you what doesn't make sense. What doesn't make sense is the fact that yesterday, as we stated, they refused to censure Plaskett, right? And the deal that was made was because Cory Mills, they attempted to censure him, and Republicans squashed that. And I want to read some of the reasons they attempted to censure him. And I want you to compare these reasons to Plaskett, right? So they want her held accountable because she was texting with Jeffrey Epstein. Okay, I think that's bad, especially after he was convicted. I think that's bad. But I'm not too sure it's worse than what I read in this particular document here, okay? I'm not going to read it all to you, but I will give you kind of the bottom line to it, which is that Cory Mills basically, and he admitted it, to getting into a physical fight with a woman who was 27 years old, was not his wife, and she had bruises on her arms and all this other stuff. And the police department actually submitted a warrant to have him arrested. Okay, you guys already know how this works. If the police shows up and the person who has the actual damage on their skin and these damages are fresh, they're usually going to arrest the other person. Okay. Anyway, I want to read this to you. Okay. Because this is stunning. Okay, here it is right here where it says February 21st, 2025, the Washington Post also confirmed 2 D.C. police officials said that the alleged victim of assault initially told a 911 operator and police that she had been assaulted, and an officer said she also had what seemed to be visible injuries, and that while a supervisor initially classified the offense internally as a family disturbance, police commanders later learned of the incident, reviewed the reports and body camera footage from the responding officers, and reclassified the case as a domestic violence assault. All right. Then the Metropolitan Police Department determined that the probable cause to arrest Representative Cory Mills for misdemeanor assault existed and sent an arrest warrant for Representative Cory Mills to the United States Attorney Office for the District of Columbia. However, pay attention to this one. Then acting United States Attorney for the District of Columbia, Ed Martin, refused to sign the arrest warrant for Representative Cory Mills and instead returned the case back to the police department for further investigation. This right here is a normal thing. This is normal business in DC. Normal business. Okay? There's a lot to be said about crime in our country. You know, illegal aliens, regular American citizens. I don't think that has anything on Congress. In some aspects, in the proper context, the highest level of a criminal, you can find that person serving as a member of Congress. It's fascinating. But we know they don't usually get held accountable. And when someone gets held accountable, it must be something else to it, okay? Because, again, if the police department is like, hey, man, she has bruises on her, you admit to getting into a physical altercation with her, but we're not going to arrest you. Because the Ed Martin, I guess, as you guys saw what I just read you, did not want that to happen. Now, let me just do a thought exercise. If you got into a physical fight with your significant other and you either, grabbed her arm incorrectly or grabbed his arm incorrectly, and at the end of the day, that significant other had scratches and bruises on them, cops are called, they show up, who do you think they're going to arrest? Or here's a better question. Do you believe your local police department would have arrested one of you? No questions asked. So, again, this is why I say they are inherently corrupt. Because they get away with stuff that me and you could never get away with. Let's keep going. And by the way, this is all alleged, okay? Alleged. I wasn't there. I'm not his lawyer. Okay. I'm not going to act like I know every little detail about what went down. I'm just showing you guys the full picture of both sides here. Plaskett was supposed to be held accountable. Wasn't, because 3 Republicans, they have no balls, no spine whatsoever, sided with Democrats in exchange to not investigate Cory Mills, which means they already know how tainted Cory Mills is or has been under fire on multiple occasions, and they have refused to deal with him. Okay, let's keep going. So then this goes on. They're listing all the reasons why they want him held accountable. That's really the bottom line to it. But then we get into this. There was also evidence that says that they believe Representative Cory Mills may have omitted or misrepresented required information in his financial disclosure statements, accepted excessive contributions to his campaign committee in the form of personal loans and contributions that may not have been derived from Representative Cory Mills' personal funds, entered into, held, or enjoyed contracts with federal agencies while he was a member of Congress, and may have accepted through his campaign committee in-kind contributions or other contributions not lawfully made. Listen, this right here, I don't care to hear about, because honestly, they all do it. Okay. They all are taking contributions they should not be taking. It goes back to Citizens United. But here's the one that really got my attention. Whereas individuals who serve with Representative Cory Mills have called into question the veracity of the account of events which form the basis of a recommendation that Representative Cory Mills receive an award of a Bronze Star bestowed in 2021 for his service under enemy fire in Iraq in 2003. Okay. Representative Cory Mills provided the Daytona Beach News with documents, I guess, proving that he earned a Bronze Star with heroism, including a Department of the Army Form 638 recommending Representative Cory Mills for a Bronze Star, which includes a signature from then Army Commander Arnold Gordon Bray. Let me zoom in because this is getting tough. However, the retired Brigadier General Bray told the Daytona Beach News Journal in August of 2024 that he did not sign a Bronze Star recommendation for Representative Cory Mills. This is crazy. Okay. So they start to look into Cory Mills. That's what happened. And some news outlet, which is the Daytona Beach News, starts getting the idea that this guy misrepresented some of the awards that he received from the military, particularly one, which is the Bronze Star. And in response, he shows them the documentation where the Bronze Star is being recommended, not awarded. Pay attention to the language. Recommended, not awarded. There's a difference, okay? Why would the retired general say that he didn't sign it? I don't know. I'm not too sure why. The Department of the Army Form 638 is a recommendation, not the award itself. Even if the general had signed the documentation recommending a Bronze Star, still does not mean he received one. You guys following what I'm saying here? Okay. So then we get into this. 5 people who served with Cory Mills, including 2 men who were reported as having been personally saved by Cory Mills at great risk to his own life, which is the basis that they used to recommend a Bronze Star for him. You know what they said? They disputed the fact that Cory Mills was involved in their rescue or provided life-saving care. You see, it doesn't matter what you believe. This is already messy. Messy, right? You either got one or you didn't. It's really that simple. The American people, if you're a civilian, maybe it might be a little difficult for you to understand why this is so frustrating, why this is bad, in my opinion, why this calls into the character of people who serve in the military, and why it should get attention. I was just talking about World War II. How many people died in that war and they never got a Bronze Star? Right? I mean, it's fast. I don't know why people in Congress who serve in the military think it's a great idea to misrepresent what they've done. I just don't get it. You're not getting any brownie points by doing that. Half the people don't even understand what a Bronze Star is. Most people don't even care. That's the fascinating part. Lesson number one as a veteran, when you leave the military, no one gives a shit whether or not you served. Why? Because they haven't served. They're not going to understand what you went through. You have to accept the fact that, yes, people may say thank you for your service, but that's like people saying after you tell them, hey, my mom died 10 years ago, they say, oh, I'm sorry. It's just a courtesy thing, okay? They're not really going to care, okay? Unless they have been in the military or they have someone that they live with that was in the military, they may have a higher level of understanding. I don't ever place that expectation on the civilian population to understand. I don't need them to say thank you for your service, okay? I don't need to. I decided to join. They didn't force me to do it. I appreciate it. I think it's nice, but it's not really needed. At any rate, this continues to go on, and they have this private first class who also says, you know, no, he never saved me, etc. So let's just get down to it. One sergeant cited as having been involved in one of the listed achievements of Cory Mills, Bronze Star, called the account of fabrication and claimed that he was not involved in any claims about what happened. Bottom line is this. Cory Mills described the legitimate factual disputes raised by individuals he, served with and rescued as slander and defamation in a statement to the Daytona Beach News Journal. But he has not produced documents proving that he was actually awarded a Bronze Star. In the research that I did, I was not able to find it. Now, depending on what or when you served, because I know this dates all the way back to when he went to Iraq. And what year was that? I think it was 2001. Let me confirm that really quickly here. Yeah. No, 2003. Okay. So in those earlier times, the documentation regarding military awards, it wasn't as fluid as it is today, obviously. I could see that, you know. But it's just like the governor of Maryland, Wes Moore, who lied about getting a Bronze Star. Okay. He ultimately got one, by the way, after, you know, he pulled a couple of strings in the background with one of the colonels and finally got it awarded like 20 years later. Right. So let me show you guys this. Okay. This is called a DD-214. This is one of them. I have like 8 of these, okay? You get one every time you come off active duty. Basically, it just says during this period of time that you were on active duty, this is where you were. This is how long you were on active duty. This is what you did. This is the awards that you received. This is the training that you went to. It's very simple. And I don't understand why these people in Congress, if you say you got a Bronze Star, just show the damn documentation, bro. Not a recommendation. It's not that hard. It clearly states on here, and some of these people go back and forth, and, a DD-214 doesn't show you what awards. Yeah, it does. It says it right here. I got, what is it? Right here. Hold on, let me read it to you. Oh, it's right up here. Block 13, decorations, medals, badges, citations, and campaign ribbons awarded or authorized. They won't put anything in that box unless you have the actual document that says you were awarded that particular award or medal or citation, whatever it is. Okay, so here it is. Afghanistan campaign medal with 2 campaign stars, second award. Okay, so if I go out there and I say, yeah, guys, I went to Afghanistan, and people are like, no, you didn't. And they're like, why don't you show us the photos? Now, understand, this was back in 2009. We weren't taking selfies back then, if you guys catch my drift. But anyways, I'm like, all right, well, I don't have any photos, but you know what I do have? I have 8 DD-214s after 2009, all saying I had this award. And there's other ways to prove it too. But I'm only showing you guys this because I think a lot of times you guys are given the wrong information regarding military awards, regarding members of Congress lying to us about their military service, and it's just annoying, okay? It really is. So at any rate, let's go here. So what's happened at this point as a result of this madness? Well, now Nancy Mace has come out and she's urging Speaker Johnson to strip Representative Cory Mills of his committee assignments. His record is tainted, according to Nancy Mace, by allegations of stolen valor, domestic abuse, arms deals with the United States government and foreign nations while serving in Congress. This is not a man who should be sitting in the House Armed Services Committee or the Committee on Foreign Affairs. Okay, she's not the only one. Or where's it at? Here we go. This is just Will Chamberlain, who did a whole thread on this already of his tainted record. Okay, you guys could go read this yourself. But Anna Pauluna also is calling for him to be censured. And this comes down to Speaker Johnson. Okay, so where's your spine? Where's your balls? Are you guys ever going to just do the right thing just one time? Just one time. Now, one could argue doing the right thing was voting on the Epstein Transparency Act. You could say that, because we should want all of the files released. I get it. But let's put that to the side. Why hasn't someone like him with these allegations been dealt with? And you guys want to know something else that's interesting? This is the same man who refused to vote for the censure against Ilmar Omar after her disgusting comments on Charlie Kirk's assassination. Isn't that interesting? So all of these people are a freaking joke, in my opinion, okay? Because that's what the results show. As much as we'd like to think that these people are true American patriots, they're not. Not in my opinion. And maybe that's because they are victims of Congress and the way things are designed, and which speaks to why things need to change. So if we're going to go to the streets and riot, right, if we're going to start tearing at each other and getting into all this infighting on the right, right, and then getting involved in this whole left versus right stuff, you know what we should do? Let's knock all that off and let's go after Congress. Why don't we do that instead? If we're going to hold a no kings bullshit protest, let's go down to Capitol Hill and protest people like this. Every single one of them. How many of them got rich when they joined Congress? How many took money from foreign nations? How many people are beating up their wives or significant others? Right? It's interesting. You never heard of anybody being prosecuted over the cocaine that was found in the White House. Why is this all relevant? Because don't get lost in the propaganda, folks. Understand what's happening. They want us distracted with Epstein. They want us distracted with left versus right. They want us distracted with, well, what is Trump doing today? They don't want us focused on the actual issues. So that's why I wanted to show you guys, because I think it's a complete joke. And Speaker Johnson, probably a nice guy in private. I guarantee at least 90% of people in Congress, if you meet them in person, nice, cool to hang around, you can have a great conversation with. They'll probably introduce you to their family members, their children, go get a beer, hang out, have a nice dinner, all that stuff. But when it comes down to it in front of the cameras and they have to place a vote, nowhere to be found. It's as if they put on the uniform, hit a switch, and they become someone who's not doing things in the best interest of the American people. I can go all day long with this. It's like Rand Paul. Guy screams about Fauci all day long. I haven't seen Fauci not once be indicted. Isn't that interesting? This guy makes more money selling books on Fauci than he does actually doing things to help the American people. So every single one of these people, and nobody's perfect, I get it, right? I'm not perfect either. But, it's like I've never seen someone so obsessed with Epstein files, and they're more obsessed with Epstein files than they are with affordability. Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, Marjorie Taylor Greene. Why don't you have that same energy for affordability, cost of living, housing, America First principles? Where's that same focus and energy? Yeah, so it's a complete joke. All right, let's see what you guys have to say, because I'm sure some of you guys might agree or disagree with me. Let's see. Yeah, and then while I'm going down this rant, they're already reporting that the Department of Justice, who secured the indictment against the former FBI director, was not secured properly. Where is that at? I have this over here. This show is about to get rated on Rumble, just as a heads up, so circle back, okay? Let's see here. No, not that one. Not that one. Hold on, guys. I got to show you this. I just had this. Oh, here we go. Here it is. There it is. Justice Department. Oh, yeah. Let me zoom out. My apologies. Let me zoom out here. There we go. Justice Department acknowledges full grand jury never saw final Comey indictment. The acknowledgement came during a hearing in which a federal judge heard the former FBI director's arguments that he is the target of a vindictive prosecution. Justice Department lawyers acknowledged Wednesday that a full grand jury never reviewed the final indictment against former FBI Director James Comey, a remarkable omission that could threaten the viability of the case. The grand jurors had rejected an early version of an indictment charging Comey with 3 counts. Hours later, the grand jury foreperson signed off on a 2-count indictment charging Comey with making false statements to Congress and obstructing a congressional proceeding. The foreperson said at the time that a majority of the panel had approved those 2 counts. So, listen, why did I want to show you guys this? Because the American people now have a low tolerance as it pertains to results. Think about it. We're only 10 months in, and people are already like, yeah, I'm done. I'm not going to vote for Trump, or I'm not going to support Trump anymore. Like, people have lost patience. Now, I would argue that I think that's being too emotional. Okay, it's only 10 months. But I'm just talking about the reality here. The reality is that the American people, and again, let's go back to history, because I was watching this last night. Like, if we don't deal with the economic reality, I hope people understand what's going to happen. Okay? The fringe side of both political parties will continue to gain power one step at a time. One member at a time, one representative at a time, one moment at a time. And in the next 10 to 20 years, you know, if you believe you're a common sense person, a moderate, a centrist, you're going to be a minority. Because most people are not going to sit down and actually go through the thought exercises that we go through on this show. They're not going to sit down and do the research. They're not going to, because they don't even believe in the research. That's how disconnected they are. They don't even believe in what they're reading. They don't believe history is correct. They believe it's 110% false. We're dealing with people who literally reject reality. And then you can't even fix the economic reality. You can't even at least try to act like you care about their economic reality. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to rebel. I say this all the time. Zohran Mamdani, Katie Wilson, who only has $1 to her name, elected to be the mayor of Seattle. And Democrats still have not even looked at her message. They didn't even look at Zohran Mamdani's message, and they're not even repeating any of that. What are they repeating right now? Epstein this and Epstein that. These people, I'm telling you, they're playing with the future of our country on both sides. Let's see here. Here's going. There's no DD-214 showing this piece of crap ever got such a medal. I know there isn't. It's the easiest document to produce. It's crazy. Yeah, New York City mayor is a test run. Could be. Let's see here. Why hasn't, yeah, we already talked about why she wasn't removed, and she won't be removed, okay? Let's see here. Johnson isn't going to do anything President Trump doesn't tell him to do, and he isn't going to tell him to do anything that might mean the Dems get in power. And that right there is the conundrum. It's a phenomenal comment. That right there is spot on. Because if we're going to obviously be upset about Speaker Johnson, we have to understand Speaker Johnson is not really making any decisions. Okay? He literally reports to the president. He's doing what the president wants him to do. So maybe the president knows something we don't. I'm sure that is the case. But as far as Cory Mills is concerned, I don't think that had anything to do with Speaker Johnson. And we'd have to go look up the actual vote by name, but he wasn't on that list of people who voted no. And he didn't vote present. He may not even have voted at all. Yeah. Yeah, so my solution is we need to cut the government in half. We have to cut the government in half. We've got to get money out of politics. Like if we're going to, do all this protesting, all this screaming and all this other stuff, I mean, we should be focusing on getting money out of politics. Because that's the root cause of it all. Why is Mills' case important? Stolen valor, that's all? No, his case is important because he's the reason why Stacy Plaskett, who was literally texting with a convicted sex offender, was not held accountable. Yeah. Exactly. He wasn't making any decisions before Trump won. I agree on that too. Yeah. All right. Let's see here. This is a boring topic about Cory Mills. Okay. Don't watch. Yeah. Like, I hope everybody understands. If you're gonna watch the DeVory Darkins show, I'm not gonna do a show based on getting as many clicks and views as practically as possible. That's not what I'm gonna do. Okay. I'm not over here trying to trigger people. I'm not over here trying to be overly emotional. I'm not over here trying to drum up conspiracy theories. I just want to look at the merits and have a thoughtful conversation and get people to get back to thinking for themselves. Some of that is boring. It doesn't sell. I know that. If you want to go watch a show that is all about doing that to people and playing on tribalism and the fringes, go watch that show. That's not what this is over here. DeVory, can you not do the raid to the court? I'm listening. I do not want to be moved to the... it's Rumble. I don't have control over that. All right. A couple more questions, then we'll wrap up. You're so right. My husband received the Bronze Star for his Vietnam War mission. Couldn't care less about it. The best award was getting out alive. He downplays the awards. Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not seeking to black pill anybody, guys. I want to make sure that people are seeing the full picture, okay? All right? Listen, maybe it's cause and effect. Maybe because the establishment continued to pad their pockets, they have essentially gave birth to uprisings. Populism is an example of that. And as a result of populism, which is happening really on both sides, if you think about it, more and more people are becoming disengaged with the way of doing things of the past. And I think there's not going to be another president like Donald Trump, of course, right? So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in 2028. He drives the news a lot. But what happens when he's gone? Right? So I'm always going to make time to talk about things that necessarily don't have anything to do with him or are not centered around him. I attempt to do that as much as I practically can, but I can't control what the mainstream media, wants to focus on. And so I think it's very important for us to get the full picture because, at the end of the day, he's a figurehead. He's in front of the camera. He's going to do his thing. He's going to say what he's going to say, but he's not doing anything. Okay? It's Congress that are actually creating the laws, and it's the agencies that are executing on the laws. And so we need to know what they are doing as well. Yeah, and that's the whole thing, the whole Jasmine Crockett situation. She was taking donations more than she was telling people. That's another thing, too, that we can get into later this week. Let's see here. I mean, again, just imagine for just 1 month if Democrats, Republicans, conservatives, and progressives just all agreed on one thing. Let's get money out of politics. And what we're going to do, step one, is we're going to show up on Capitol Hill every single day and scream that. Every single day. We're going to make it so difficult for members of Congress to even walk into the Capitol building because they're going to have to go through the crowd. Now, that might sound a little aggressive, but I'm telling you, these people, they're going to ignore it. But if we're out there for 30 days, you can't ignore that. That means the people start to dominate the narrative. The people start to dominate the news. So they come to Capitol Hill, they see us. They leave, they see us. They turn on the news, they hear about it. That would be a perfect world where all sides across the political spectrum can agree just on one thing. I think we all can agree on one thing, that money needs to be removed from politics. If you were going to say, DeVory, if you could change anything about politics, it'd be that. All right. I think we're done. Here. Let me go to me. So what is your guys' takeaway? You know, as we're going into this holiday season, what do you think Congress is going to end up doing? Do you think they're going to do something, at least one thing to help the American people? Do you think they're going to address the housing crisis, etc., all these things? Someone said, we're not going to learn anything new from this release. We will just continue to be pissed because they are protecting the sewer. Time to focus on moving forward. Yeah. So let's go through that just briefly, actually. Yeah, I'll just do it for a few minutes, and then that's it for sure. So let's do another exercise of solutions. And we're talking about finances again. Okay. So I kind of talked about this when I did the interview with Fresh and Fit Monday. If you guys haven't seen it, you can watch it on the Rumble or YouTube page. It's very good. Anyways, let's go through the 3 steps. And I should keep repeating these for, to burn it into you guys' mind. Again, I'm not telling you what to think. You can make up your own mind if you agree on this. Step 1 has to be about mindset. Meaning, you got to make sure you're not operating from a victim mindset. Okay, you're operating from a mindset based on pure abundance. There's no shortage of money out there. There's no shortage of opportunities out there. I don't believe God's plan for us is to ruin our lives, okay? He wants us to be successful. He wants us to grow. Sometimes for us to be what he wants us to be, we got to go through some pain, all right? So that's perspective for you. And I think if you start repeating that every day, telling yourself things like this and reading things like that, it'll be easier for you to think that way. See, it's hard to get someone to be positive when all they do is consume negative stuff. So it's a true decision to change your environment, your lifestyle, and what you consume to enhance the way you think. You think based on the environment you're sitting in. We are a product of our environment. Have you guys ever seen the movie Trading Places? It's a great example. If you haven't, I encourage you guys to watch it. Anyways, that's what step 1 is about, mindset, realizing who you really are, okay? And that you can go out there and do amazing things. It doesn't matter what your age is. Step 2 is financial literacy. Basically, all right, at the basic level, stop spending more than you make. And 2, understand what dictates how much money you can earn in this economy today. How do you know how much money you can earn in this economy? Well, it's simple. What problem are you solving? If you're a cashier at a McDonald's or the vice president of sales for, Apple, who do you think's going to make more money? Who do you think's solving a bigger problem? Okay? So step number one on that, you got to understand, what problem are you solving? The need for what you do. The second thing to it is your ability to do it. How great are you at solving that problem? If you're a shitty VP of sales, sooner or later, they will cut you loose. And you're not going to be able to demand more money. Now, you could be the best cashier at McDonald's, but the problem is you're not solving a big problem. They can find a cashier. They can get 16-year-olds to work the cashier. It doesn't take a lot to do that, okay? It's no disrespect. So, one, as far as understanding what dictates how much money you make, is understanding the problem that you solve. 2, how good are you at solving that problem? And 3, how difficult is it to replace you? I can replace a cashier like that. I cannot replace a VP of sales for Apple just like that. It's going to take some time. If you ever sit back and ask yourself, man, why does that person make so much money? Why is Elon Musk worth so much money? Well, look at the problem he's solving. And he's not just solving one problem. He's solving a multitude of problems. The problems he's solving are so big, most people can't even comprehend them. So, and then he's really great at it. And you're not going to find another Elon Musk. And I'm just using him as an example. But do this exercise in your own life. Right now, if you have your own career right now, like, do you believe you're serving right now in a position that is solving the biggest problem for the company? And some of you guys might say, hey, you know what, DeVory? I am solving the biggest problem for the company. I'm still not making the money I need to make. Then that sounds like you need to go somewhere else. Because I guarantee there will be a company who will pay you more. So it's a simple exercise to do. Now, step number 3 is now you got to execute. So either you're going to advance in your career, you're going to switch your career, you're going to find a different employer, okay? Or you'll stay where you're at and you'll do something on the side. Now, the major excuse I always hear is, well, I can't make any money doing that on the side. Who told you you can't do that? A lot of people just inherently believe that they can't do that. Why am I going through all this? What does this have to do with the current state of the economy? Because we have to adapt to the current state of the economy. We cannot be sitting around waiting for the federal government to fix whatever they say they're going to be able to fix. They're not going to fix, technically, the inflation that has already occurred. Once prices go up, that's it. They're not coming down. So what do you need to focus on? Increasing your income. That's why I'm going through this. You increase your income by solving bigger problems and getting great at solving those problems. The greater you become, the better you become, the more you work on yourself, the more valuable you become. And guess what? It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. The principles are still the same. Because there's one thing that is a shortage, or there is a shortage of something out there, and it's people who can get results. People who can solve problems at a minimum and be competent doing it, okay? Everybody knows that feeling. When you hire someone to do something, you're like, God, man, these people are incompetent. Can they just do the right thing? So don't worry about competition. You don't have to worry about that because most people, they're not even competitive. They're average at best. So I wanted to make time to go through this again because I know some people listening are in this are in these situations, and this is what you can do about it. So when you start thinking that way, you'll start becoming more clear about what your next steps are. It ain't what the government's doing. It's what can you do. And some of it's going to take some time. You're not going to change your financial situation tomorrow, but you can lay the foundation for it. You can start thinking about it. You can make time during this holiday season to truly sit down and say, hey, you know what? Maybe I should go through this really quickly here. Maybe I should figure out, what am I great at doing? What problems can I solve for other people? Is there another career that could pay me more money with these skills? Or is it a business? Is it both? Write it out. And if you could do that, it's going to become really clear what you should be doing next. And I just think that is the message that puts a positive spin on everything that we talked about in today's show. So I definitely appreciate your guys' time today. And hopefully you guys found value in all of that. Do I receive VA benefits? I have a rating of 10%, guys. I don't have 100%. All right. Just being transparent with you guys. I think it's 15. I think it's 15 actually. That's how you know. I don't even know. Anyways, hopefully you guys found value in all that. I appreciate you guys sticking with me this entire time. Obviously, stay optimistic. Lean in on your faith. Keep speaking about the real issues. Okay. This Epstein stuff is definitely more of a distraction versus justice. Okay. If it was really about justice, they would have removed all the dramatics and just got to it. And while they're still trying to figure out what they're going to do about affordability, I made some time to go over what you can do to increase your wages, the amount of money you make, by solving bigger problems for people. That's exactly what you can do about it in the short term. Okay, over the next 6 months, a lot of you guys can increase your income by 10%, 20%. Even if you're just collecting Social Security right now, right? And let's say you are retired, I guarantee you still have a skill that people will pay you for. I guarantee you do. You could do tutoring. You could do teaching. You could do coaching. Right? Like you could do a lot of things from the comfort of your own home. You don't even need to leave your home to make money today. The problem is we're so distracted, we forget that the opportunities are literally sitting right in front of us. All right, guys, I appreciate your time. God bless you. And God bless the United States of America. Take care, everyone.